everyone, my name is Aaliyah Wofford. I am from Winston-Salem, North Carolina originally, and I'm part of the National Astronomy Consortium at the National Radio Astronomy Observatory. My mom, she had a coworker who was a part of an astronomy club, and he used to take us up to the mountains. Up in where I live, we have what's called Pilot Mountain, and they would meet up regularly and just do a lot of stargazing parties and things like that. And one day, when I was about 7 years old, they invited my family up, and I got to go and play with their telescopes. I got to see my first solar flare on a sun, and it was just kind of like, because it was just so amazing, and it was just something that just sort of sparked my interest of like the unknown and so many questions. I was like, I know I want to do this. In 2015, when I was in college, I had gotten an internship here at the University of Virginia, and specifically my track was in biology, because at the time I had just recently transitioned out of a physics degree into a biology degree. I told them that I had been very interested in astronomy, and they told me, oh, well, we have the National Radio Astronomy Observatory up the street. They gave me a tour of NRAO, and they told me a little bit more about radio astronomy, and I was very intrigued by it, and that I was wondering about if they had opportunities for us. They actually offered an astronomy internship the following year, and so I immediately applied and I got in. One of my projects in particular was working with Jackie Villedson. She was looking at space weather on M dwarfs, and she turned the project, being that she knew I was very interested in, but she was like, I want you to hypothesize, what do you think these planets would look like? How do you think if they had a bunch of space weather or a bunch of flares hitting their surface, taking away their atmosphere, what do you think the planets would look like? That I got to sort of explore those things and think about those things. And I think that's what really drawed me towards astronomy, because while you're collecting data and you're looking at the data and you're seeing things, you're also still able to put yourself and your imagination into it. I started to do projects that were somewhat representative of that connection between your science, your space science, and your biology. Like, for instance, when I was in my undergraduate, I got to work on a project where I was dealing with cancer cells, and I was seeing how microgravity impacted those cells. And in the idea, the long longevity of the project was to simply see if cancer could be treated in space, which was amazing. I never even thought that was like a multidisciplinary efforts or anything like that. So up until now, my main research background has been specifically in atmospheric modeling and paleoclimatology and astrobiology. So most of my projects have always been looking at the modeling aspects, or what we think it could be, or theory. But in this case, I'm actually working with actual data, and I'm trying to reduce this data with all these different techniques in Python and other calculations, like trying to do signal to noise ratios. And so as a modeler coming into the actual field of detection, I'm learning more about what it takes to reduce the data, and then actually conducting an analysis to determine if there's actual planets there. What I enjoy about the NAC, I have to say, is pretty much the mentors and also my cohort. My mentors, while I've been in the NAC, I've had about two mentors, and that was Dr. Jackie Villedson and Dr. Amanda Ketley, and we still are in touch even after I've not done research since the 2016 and 2017 with them, a long time, and we still check in with each other. They're still very supportive of me, and that's something that really makes the NAC really stand out, is that your mentors, these are not just your mentors that you have for a summer and that you never talk to them again. They're there for you. They are there to not only they're there for you to guide you during the summer through your research and help you to build new skill sets. But the other thing that's also very rewarding and that has really helped me is that they're also the same mentors that, while on one hand they talk to me about my research, they also took time to sit me down and talk about the importance of professional development, the importance of your mental health and your emotional health, and just knowing your balance, your work-life balance. I know at times I think that there's always been that stigma in science that sometimes those balances are out of whack. But I love the fact that my mentors, they've always said, no, the importance is that you have to be at peace and at balance with everything that you do, and that you can't be the best scientist if you're not okay in those other spaces, and that you can enjoy yourself and be all of those things. And so just being able to have those candid conversations and just being able to come to them and tell them that when things are not okay, that they're able to be there and just say, well, focus on that. Science will always be here. Science is always growing and changing, but you can't do that if you're not okay in those other spaces. And I think that was something that was a very valuable lesson and very valuable conversations that have helped me as a scientist and grow. They know that some days are going to be hard, but it's going to be okay, and that to just be kind to yourself, and that you recognize that those things, that all of these things are temporary, and that you are worthy of being here. And I think that that's something that has been very valuable. And then on the second front, I would have to say it's the cohort. So the people that came in with me, and that all of those cohort members, I can say all of them, we still chat. You know, even though we've gone on to different things, some of them have already gotten their PhD, some of them are going into industry and other great endeavors. We still talk like we're still in the same NAC cohort back in the summertime, because it's just such a good and rewarding environment, being that while we may be spread across the country and in some cases across different continents, we all have similar experiences because we're all trying to find our way. And that with the NAC, the thing that really kind of sets all of us apart is that we all, like all of us are minorities, and that we all have similar struggles and similar stories in how we are trying to navigate this world as minorities in this field. And that it's good that I have people I can lean on if there are things that I'm going through, and just being kind to me when I'm not feeling like I'm doing my best, or if those things are going on. And that's just something that's just very rewarding, that we're very close knit. We empathize and understand a lot of things that we go through, and we celebrate each other. It's changed my life, honestly, because I don't think that I would be where I am without the NAC. When I've ever needed anything, I could come to the NAC and let them know that this is what's happening and this is what I need. And they've not, without question, have always stepped in to help in every way that they can. And now I'm about to start my PhD, and it's just like, in my mind, it's so surreal some days, because I'm like, I never thought that, in my mind, in my heart, in my wildest dreams, I never thought. So for me, the NAC is everything in certain aspects, because they've been there when I've been through my lowest points in some of the obstacles that I've dealt with. They've been there to celebrate with me, and they came to my defense when I defended my master's. They've just been there, just sort of, always being kind of like another parent, if you will, just, always being there supporting me, and, being kind to me and loving on me when I needed it most. And for that's something that is very rewarding. You have to advocate for the things that you need, because you know your vision and what you envision for, and what you want out of your research, and what you want in your endeavors that you undertake in science. And as minorities, sometimes people won't see those things. So you have to be able to tell them, this is what I need, this is what I want to do. Because you have to be okay with whatever decisions that you make going on anything in your journey, and especially in your scientific career. Sometimes I think that we're our worst critics. We always think that we have to be the perfectionist. We always think that we have to be perfect at everything. But in truth and reality, everything is not perfect. So what you have to do is you always have to be kind to yourself, and to recognize that when you are doing your best and you are putting your best foot forward, that's all anybody ever asks for you. And that is all that you really need. And that's what makes you a great scientist, and what makes you a great person as well.